Korean Fairy Tale 8. A Story of Seonbi, Korean Classic Scholar. Series 2. Seo Seung. Long, long ago, very long ago, when a tiger was smoking, there was a Seonbi named Seo Seung. Unfortunately, when he was born, a part of Korea was invaded by a barbarian tribe and was colonized by the barbarians for about 30 years. Historically, some part of Korea has been invaded and even ruled by barbarians many times, even if all the invasion and foreign occupation time didn't go long as resisted by Koreans. Historically, Korea is a Seonbi country, which means Korean people respect humanism, literature, culture, art, writers, and scholars much more than such physical force as military power. Yes, they usually have tended to regard military power and economical richness as just animals' matters, so that it has been a kind of Korea's destiny to be invaded by its neighbors who respected only military power and fleshy desire only. The Korean neighboring tribes and nations have just tried to imperialize other neighboring countries, including Korea, whenever they felt they were physically stronger than others. Whereas, however, Korean people have only wanted to be culturally and artistically developed since about 5,000 years ago. According to some legends, Koreans used to be the best warriors from 10,000 years to 5,000 years ago. But since 5,000 years ago, a unified Korean country named Joseon set 홍익인간, meaning that the goal of a country is to benefit as many people as possible to their national agenda. Korean people have been humanist regarding military and economic power as substandard one. About 3,000 years ago, Korea was divided into many countries and the country of Seo Seung was invaded and colonized by a barbarian tribe. He was born even in the barbarian tribe's local area because his family was forcibly drafted to the barbarian area. Of course, the family of Seo Seung was also a Seonbi family, even if they were forced to work for the barbarians as slaves. That means they wanted to and tried to educate their son Seo Seung, even under their poor economic circumstance, so that he could become a great Seonbi. Fortunately, he was a smart and intelligent boy and finally had a scholarship qualified enough to be recruited for both barbarians' native and colonized governments. But he chose a special way of his life because he was a Seonbi who should act and behave just for justice. He thought that it was not a justice for his country to be ruled by a foreign barbarian nation, and then he decided to abandon the potential future of his private life as a high-class civilian servant for the barbarian or colonized government and to live as an independence movement activist. He came back to his motherland and led a resistance group against the colonized government, sadly. However, he was arrested in jail and tortured hard by the colonized government that wanted to search out all his resistance members and the leading opposition political group members who were related with him. They also wanted to make him convert into a pro-colonized power. Ah! I cannot tell you anything that you want, and I cannot scrap my justice to be at your side. He dug in his heels against all the torture that was put to him. However, the higher his resistance against the torture, the more severe the torture got. The colonized government's police were just torture specialists who learned all the barbarian torture skills. They definitely knew how to make people give in by torture. He finally lost his consciousness while being tortured and filled out unconsciously the statement as they wanted. Oh no, I lost my consciousness and sold my friends, even the friends who are not related with the independence movement. He shamed himself. How weak I am, and am I a real Seonbi? He believed that Seonbi must not lose her or his justice even a moment. Ah, I have to die because I got out of Seonbi's road. Even if his conversion was made when he was unconscious, he felt ashamed, hurt himself, and then he just found there was a stove in the torture room. What are you fucking doing now? The torture executors shouted out to him because they saw him hold the burning stove in his arms. Then they tried to get him detached from the stove, but he was just stuck to it. He lost his consciousness again while being burnt out right before he was dead. Then the torture executors could detach him from the stove. Make him alive, commanded the colonized government to the police. If he is dead, there could be a big protest against us. Who told you guys to kill him? You just had to make him only convert to our regime. Everybody in his motherland got the news. He held a burning stove for his justice, and yes, most people took the streets against the colonized government as expected by the government. And there was no other choice for the government to release him. There, our hero comes! People shouted in excitement when he appeared in the protest. He was released to hospital, and the police didn't expect him to come to the protest out of hospital. But he appeared in the street dragging his burnt body. I am just a sinner, not keeping my justice. But I wanna add even my small ability to this independence war till I am dead. He said to the people in the protest and was taken back to hospital. The protest kept going for several months, even if many people were killed by the colonized police on the streets, and his burnt hands and face, exposed out of his clothes, were symbolized of the independence movement. Yes, finally his country achieved independence. This story has been transferred generation by generation for several thousand years since long, long ago, very long ago, when a tiger was smoking, but still Koreans are respecting those who can die for justice, much higher than anyone else, higher than the rich and the powerful, and still are always ready to take to the streets if justice is harmed by evilness. The counter-revolution spirit that pushed the evil government out of the power a few years ago in the modern time must be also rooted from the Seonbi, Seosungs, and such ancient time Korean people's resistant energy, respecting humanism, culture, art, literature, writers, and scholars, while ignoring such physical forces as military power and economical richness.